So this is really an introduction to the way the management of documents is now occurring within CIDOC. Hopefully it gives you a clue as to the way you can manage your own collaborative document processes. So, you know, you're all writing documents. How do you manage it when you want to work across organizations or across departments? In CIDOC, we're naturally working across countries and institutions, so we need to manage our document process nice and easily. So, quick introduction then. What I'm hoping to do is to introduce you to the 3 document creation steps that we use within CIDOCs and teach you how to get at the CIDOC file repository so that you can harvest the fruits of our labor. So the first step is what we call collaborative creation. It's pretty straightforward. We all do this already. Use some kind of online collaborative tool. We've been using Google Docs within the CRM SIG to create the core of a document. This is great for content creation. It's really nice and easy for you all to hack into the same thing, sometimes simultaneously in the same room, sometimes across distance, and create the content that you want to establish. It's terrible for editing. You know, it's really difficult to edit for form and content and getting it to flow properly and language because it becomes a camel, you know, a horse designed by committee. And it's absolutely awful for formatting. You cannot produce consistently formatted documents in things like Google Docs. They don't come out well. It's very difficult to make some things look consistent and pretty across these tool sets. So this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. For me, that's out of focus, but that may be just my eyes. So you can see this is a working document from the week before last for the CRM SIG. And we were looking at a particular issue in the creation of it, and we could add comments to it, and there were a dozen of us hacking content into this document all the time. And at the end of that, we end up with a document that we want to move forward. And at that point, we need to go into controlled revision. So this is where we're going to make sure that only one person at a time edits the document to make sure that we don't get 2 different sets of edits going on and then have the problem of trying to bring them into cohesion with each other. So what do? We upload the document into a document management system, and then one person at a time can check out the document, do some edits, and check it back in. And other people can then look at it. You can't have more than one person editing a document at a time because it's locked. You can't get at it. You can see it, the old version, but you cannot get at it in order to edit it. So for CIDOC, we use OpenDocMan. Here you can see the login screen. You can add a document fairly easily. Choose the file off your own hard drive, assign it an owner, and a department, which are pre-set up for us, and add a description and any comment that you want. So that's adding a document, and you then submit, and it will then appear in the file list. Now, by a beautiful coincidence, the file that I've chosen to talk about is Object ID, the English version of Object ID. Trilcia will be proud of me. So you can see here that this is the file that we're going to play with. I'm going to click on that button in a moment, but what I want you to notice is the date of it being modified. So I click on the button for that file, and I get into the file details. So who owns the document? In this case, it's me, because I was in charge of putting it in. And there's a button here to check the document out. So I click on that, I get this screen, and I can then check out the file. So that means that I now have a lock on that file. Nobody else can get at it, it's mine. And I can then do whatever edits I need to do to it. And when I'm ready when I've completed whatever set of edits that I'm doing and formatting, then I can go and check it in, and I get this screen where I can make a comment about what changes I made to it and upload a new version of the screen, the new version of the file. So I just check the file in, and I then get this message on the file list. It doesn't go back in until it's been approved, so there's an approval process. So I get this message here saying documents waiting to be reviewed. Click on that, and it takes me through to a screen where I can review that document. And so I have authorize or reject, let it into the system or throw it out, depending on what I think. And in this case, I'm going to authorize it. I can send a note to all of the people involved with that document, so the people who've edited it, the people in the rest of the department, and so on. Send them a note saying, this has been approved, and are there any comments about it? And then I just click and say authorize. And now the file is back in the main file list. And you notice that the modified date has been updated. I did this morning just to capture the slide shot, so it got modified today. There you go. Right, so now we have a final version of the file. We've done all the edits, it's in the format that we want, so it's now time to do our publication. So at that point, we need to upload the file to the CIDOC file repository, or your own repository for your own workflows. You announce that it is ready, and you include the URL to the file repo where the file is, and you can optionally distribute copies of it should you wish to. So this is the CIDOC file repository. This is the opening page of it, currently with an invitation to come to the conference here. I might change that, but I might not. There are then processes for us to do a series of operations. The first is to upload a file. So here we're going to upload a file, and you can categorize the file according to a categorization scheme that we have for deciding what sort of material it is, so that we can search for it. And we can search for it in the shared files area. So here is some stuff that Rupert's put up about EODM and the LIDO profile. Went up a couple of days ago. Oh no, sorry, this is last year's stuff. You can then click on it and download it, look at it. There's some metadata there to give you some clues about it, and the categorizations to make it easier to search. It has a gallery function where we can put up photographs. This is me talking about capital expenditure in museums. A very popular topic. Not. We have the ability to look at the working groups and track the documents which are being produced by each working group, and it gives a brief history of the working group. And that's it, really. Why do we do this? It avoids mistakes, particularly about double editing, 2 sets of edits. We've had so many occasions in the CRM SIG where 2 people have been editing simultaneously, and we've ended up with a clash between them, which has meant that we've had to rework everything. So it's efficient and it's robust. So, in summary, there are 3 steps. Create something in something like Google Docs, use a DMS, we're using OpenDocMan, then use a repo. We're using a WordPress repository. You can use whatever you want. Thank you very much.
So, thank you so much for this presentation. And now we have some time for questions and answers. So, does anybody have a question or a comment? I can't see any in the workshop, but maybe anybody wants to ask something? Of course, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to ask, because if you hear such a straightforward presentation about a topic which has very, like how we say it, keep it simple solution.
Or keep it stupid simple is what they usually say to me.
Exactly. Yes, can you please forward the microphone here to the second row? Yeah, it is coming.
But the online won't be.
But the online people won't hear you.
No. I think you need to up your game.
You're right. Okay, thanks for that, Stephen. So in that very quick run through, I didn't see any version control in the file names, but you're saying you don't need that because it's just the latest document, so you don't need to manage any
DNS,
kind of...
you use the same file name, and the version control is just in, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's always the latest version. You can never end up with a clash. You can, if you want to keep other versions, then you seal the document, load it in the repo, and start again. So always, if you have an intermediary state that you want to be visible to the outside world, then you stop, put it in the repo, start again.
Okay, and hogging the microphone. So why not start in the document management system? Why start with Google Docs?
Because the document management system is about making a single user in control of the document. So it's much more useful when you're trying to do formatting. When you're trying to do collaborative work where you need 6 or 8 people to write on the fly together, then something online like Google Docs is just more effective. If you're going for an author will prepare something and then pass it to somebody else for them to do some work on, then use DocMan straight away.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question. And any more questions, comments? For a moment, I was just happy to once again see the CIDOC summer school template. That was one of the things that looked very familiar from the beginning already.
Yeah, well, I wrote that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, thoughts? So I am not actually a member of CIDOC myself, but I was wondering, so shall you basically use this solution now in order to, manage documents?
Well, certainly the workflow for all of the CRM SIG, for instance, is now entirely based in this workflow. So we're encouraging all of the working groups to work in it. So EODM's being run through it, so the documentation standards stuff. The archaeology working group is working through it, mostly because it's me as well. So we're encouraging people to use this workflow because it stops a lot of double working.
Yeah.
So that's it. The actual implementation of OpenDocMan is for CIDOC only. It's our system run on our servers that we pay for. And the file repo is, again, a WordPress implementation that's just for our stuff. So if you wanted to use it within your own institution, then you would need to put some effort into getting DocMan and WordPress up. But the tools are pretty easy, and I'd be happy to offer some advice, pointers.
And if I understand correctly, then this kind of system is also helping to reduce the duplications. You don't have like multiple documents in different kind of folders, places, whatever.
No, everything is in one place, and it's made, certainly for the CRM SIG, I think the SIG members who are here would agree, it's made our editing process a hell of a lot easier, because we've had some real disasters where we've ended up with 2 people working on what they thought was the current document and ended up with hundreds of changes being made and having to go through by hand and do document comparison and look for.
Yes, that's a waste of time, really.
Yeah.
And also, when I think about your description of this system, then it also sounds very, how to say, sustainable in terms you don't have so much carbon footprint also online. You have these particular documents and you edit them and you can manage them, and that's it.
Yeah.
Simple.
It depends how many trees you want to cut down. I'm a firm believer in cutting down trees to make paper.
Well, yeah.
Yes. All right. And then burying the paper in an archive is very efficient because you're taking carbon out of the atmosphere and putting it in a room.
Okay. Anyway, but that's already another discussion. So maybe let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your presentation, and also to thank you for these answers to his questions. So let's give another applause.
Thank you very much.